If you were a young woman just getting into the business, what advice would you give to a new agent getting into the business?
Competition is healthy for human beings, and so is discipline. Both of those together can just drastically change somebody's life when implemented correctly.
The networking is so important in our business. All they think about is getting clients, and the truth of the matter is that we all work as a team.
How do you own the room? What do you say to yourself mentally?
You keep doing what you're supposed to be doing, and that self-esteem just begins to grow and grow and grow.
If your work was going to end today, what would you want to be best remembered for? Welcome to Own the Room, the podcast where we spotlight women who not only change the energy of every room that they walk in, but they live in with intentionality.
So these are conversations about leadership, discipline, resilience, and courage that it takes to build a life and a business that reflects who you truly are.
I'm Pamela Santi.
And I'm Gayle Phillips. And today we're excited to share a conversation that blends both personal, professional excellence with discipline. So our guest today is
Lindsay Capalleti. And Lindsay is a seasoned real estate agent. We've known you for years. I believe you've been in the business about 23, 24 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It is a long time. We've all been doing this for a long time. And you embody what it means to lead and consistency.
That's right. So you have built a successful real estate career along with and operate Absolute Appraisals, right?
Yep.
Which gives you a really unique dual
It does.
perspective of the industry.
I think so.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of both out there.
Yeah.
It's got to be a very small number. There's only 6,700 licensed appraisers right now in California.
In California. Oh, my goodness. I had
Close
no idea.
to like 500,000 licensed agents. So there's a huge
Imbalance.
difference, in the licensing too.
Yeah, you're the only, well, I think I know one other person who is also, but I don't know that they're a realtor anymore, and is also an appraiser. It's got to really be helpful for you in your real estate business.
Absolutely. I go through these like mental roadblocks sometimes where I think, okay, I need to choose one or the other. You know, the old saying, do something, do one thing and do it well. Well, I have horrible ADHD, so having multiple things to focus on works for me. It might not work for everybody, but I do think that, being a realtor and the experience that I have on that side and bootstraps on the ground in the market and what the market's doing, actually firsthand witnessing buyer behaviors. That's what we do as appraisers, is analyze that. And being an appraiser helps me tremendously, with my real estate clients and pricing and list price and all of those things.
I'm sure that it is incredibly helpful when you go out to a home, somebody who wants to list their house, or you're on a listing, appointment.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was that hard word I was looking for. And you start telling people what a house is worth. I mean, it's not just based on your experience. I mean, you have the metrics in place to analyze what a home is worth. You're able to really remove the emotion from determining what a house is worth. For instance, if I walk in and a house is really decorated beautifully, that will influence me. There's no doubt about that. And so let me ask you this question. So when you walk in as an appraiser and the condition of the home is really gorgeous versus a house exactly the same home, does that influence you as well?
No, right? It does. I might walk in and personally say, gosh, they've done a fabulous job in here.
Yeah.
I just absolutely love this home. It is gorgeous. But it cannot influence me when it comes to the value, right? So I think that our training program and the years of training we have to go through with another appraiser kind of forces our brain to not pay attention to that, right? We're really there to look at the structure of things. If the condition is good as far as the actual real property, sometimes it's hard though when those personal belongings look so chic
good.
and, model home-esque. I think it shows well. But then when I get back to, the Cloffice and I begin the, analyzation of the market there and the comps, and I'm looking between, my subject house, which is very nice and decorated very well, and another home, I have to make sure that my brain is not overvaluing for the decor.
Right.
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 So I think for the most part, I think I'm pretty good at overlooking those things when I need to.
Right.
I would say 8 out of 10 times when I show up as an appraiser to somebody's home, the first thing they say is, "Oh gosh, don't mind the mess," whatever it might be. And I always respond and let them know, we're trained to overlook that. I assure you, we don't see those things. And if it makes you feel better, I will send you a picture of my messy house right when I get home. We're overlooking that stuff.
Can I ask you how that battle in your head, though, when you're going between the realtor side and the appraiser side? There's got to be, the realtor side now is adding in the value of marketing, staging, photography, concerned about time on market, which an appraisal also reflects. But it's that different. I know that I can sell a house if it looks prettier for a higher dollar value than it, but your role as an appraiser is different. So how do you deal with that debate?
Yeah. So easy. That's a great question too. So sometimes I meet folks that don't think you can do both, right? How can you be an agent and an appraiser? And the state of California is very clear on that. And I can't ever misrepresent which role I'm in. And the difference is, as an appraiser is always objective, independent, neutral, never biased.
Right.
And an appraiser can never, under any circumstances, advocate. On the flip side, a realtor's job is to advocate. And so there is a difference in even my mindset when I'm looking at pricing. So if I'm working on an appraisal, those active homes, pending sales are not going to hold a lot of weight when I'm putting the value in. And when I'm working on the realtor side, I am an advocate. And those actives and pendings do make a difference because that is competition. And as simple at root as it is would be, as an appraiser, an appraisal value is what is the most probable outcome. Realtor's job is what is the highest possible outcome if we're talking about representing a seller. So I think that's the difference would be the advocacy.
Interesting distinction.
Yeah. And so I know you teach some classes. You've taught classes on appraisals and stuff. If you were a young woman getting into the business and you see how valuable it has been knowing the appraisal side of it as well as you do, what advice would you give to a new agent getting into the business?
Oh, gosh. To a new agent?
To a new agent getting into the business, because especially now we're going into a market where we are seeing our agents are listing a lot more properties. So people are finally, they're starting to put houses on the market. Our inventory is growing. I think we all three agree with that. So, and here's another saying that is so well known in our industry. You have to list to last. Yeah. Right. But take it from somebody like Gayle, when we were in a much different market during the recession. How many listings did you have, Gayle?
28 at one time.
28 listings at one time, and the bottom was falling out of the market. And of course,
how do you even update all of those claims?
I know, and I said without going down a rabbit's hole, and I'm going down a rabbit's hole, but you do need to list to last. And being able to, especially in this market, put the right price on a home. So knowing what you know about that, what kind of advice would you give to a new agent?
I would tell a new agent to find a team or find a mentor, somebody who can guide them. That's been there, done that, and can give them that daily encouragement that we all need. Even decades into the business, we still need that encouragement. And I would tell them to give themselves grace. But when we first get started in real estate, we don't have a book of clients to manage or work. We don't have a database of people to start immediately marketing to. And so my advice, if somebody was new in real estate, would be to spend their full workday doing as much education as possible, whether that's YouTube tutorials. Our Fresno Association has a huge library of inventory, different tutorials and forums. Our Real Brokerage has so many great
in the Real Academy
tutorials in there. And so I would tell them to educate themselves as much as possible. And then even if it's uncomfortable, get outside, go do things, get involved, pick up some new hobbies, volunteer somewhere, and just meet as many people as you can possibly meet.
Yeah, the networking is so important in our business. I think it's something that's really overlooked by agents. All they think about is getting clients. And the truth of the matter is that we all work as a team. Whether I'm in an escrow with you and you're at a completely different company, we have to approach it as a team because it really does take a team to complete a transaction successfully.
And there's the other piece of the belly-to-belly marketing that you were kind of referring to or alluding to. I think in addition to networking with other professionals is one way, but also becoming involved in your other organizations so that you can meet people, get belly-to-belly. Yeah. They all want to talk about real estate, and there's a potential client or buyer or seller there.
Just make a bunch of friends. And be genuine and authentic, right? Be in that relationship and have real conversations, not always just real estate driven.
Right.
Right. And just have those conversations and make as many friends in this community as you can and remind them what you do.
Talking about other things that you do besides real estate and appraisals is that we were chatting a few minutes ago about your bodybuilding experience and the discipline that takes. What led you to that pursuit?
Sure.
And how has that impacted your approach to real estate and appraising?
Yeah. So my dad is a retired bodybuilder. So I grew up in a very odd scene that most kids don't. I was, running around a gym or at the bodybuilding show. It was very strange for me to say, oh, I went to work with my dad today and dad's in a Speedo, flexing muscles and has
walking
like this
around
spray
the
tan
house.
on, right? And so at 37, 7 years ago, I got curious about what the experience would be like on the stage versus from back here. I don't know if you know, I was a full scholarship athlete at Fresno State on the track team. I was a 400-meter hurdler. And so by nature, I'm just very competitive.
I did not know that about you.
Yeah, I'm super fast, so I'm a very fast runner. But competition is healthy for human beings, and so is discipline. Both of those together can just drastically change somebody's life when implemented correctly. So for me, I chose bodybuilding because it's a long, ongoing process that requires consistent daily discipline. And anytime that I'm mentally preparing to try and do a bodybuilding show, wouldn't you know, every aspect in my life starts elevating, right?
Yes.
It's incredible. So, for someone like me, as spastic as my brain can be, I truly need that structure and routine of just, I don't even need to think about what I'm going to eat. It's already, it's just set up. And
well, it must take such discipline too, because you have to eat so lean to prepare. So So it affects every aspect of your life. I mean, you've got to meal prep. In order to get your body lean enough. But it's that setting that goal and accomplishing the goal. That is what has got to be so rewarding.
Yeah, it is. And even if I don't make it to the show,
Right.
that is not a
journey.
waste. All of those months that work has paid off in so many other areas of my life.
Yeah. So, what is your goal around fitness for next year?
I would like to compete again in May. The Fresno Classic. It's the only show I ever want to try and do. It's a local show, and it was my dad's first bodybuilding show ever.
Gosh.
It's still running. So my goal is definitely to get back on stage this spring.
So bodybuilding has created huge amounts of confidence.
I think so.
Or you already had the confidence as an athlete and as a professional in what you do, but it helped. You had to have a lot of confidence to get on that stage.
You
in
do.
a very little skimpy. So has that helped you when you have had to sit in situations like this, or in difficult or uncomfortable situations where you walk into a room? How do you own the room? What do you say to yourself mentally?
Usually I tell myself mentally that I'm way overthinking it, and all the thoughts in my head that I'm thinking other people are thinking about, they probably aren't. First of all, I'm not that important, right?
Yeah.
But we tend to worry and have anxiety and create all these scenarios in our heads that 99% of the time don't happen. So for me, I think, yes, doing the first bodybuilding show ever, and you have that fear just building up right before you're going to go out on a stage, basically like close to naked, right?
Yeah. Yes.
At least you get a sparkly bikini. But overcoming those types of situations and scenarios are what I live for now. It's like, how much can I scare myself
Boy,
to try and overcome
That
something?
really is about getting out of your comfort zone.
It
isn't
really
it?
is.
And how that must affect you in, again, what we were talking about earlier with setting those goals, how that confidence, it must permeate into all aspects of your life. You are coaching as well. Tell us about that. It's for women.
So
What's the name of it?
transformation coaching. So it
Transformation.
is a little bit of combination of business, life, fitness, emotional mindset coaching. I have personally, I know we don't have a ton of time to go into it, but I have undergone a huge, complete transformation over the last 10, 12, 15 years, definitely the last 10 years. And looking back, if you would have told me 10 years ago that I was going to be here today, I would have never, never believed that. So when I first started working in the appraisal industry, I was very, very broke on welfare, had no car, couldn't drive. And I had just had a brand new baby, my youngest, Lily, who's now 13, was about 1 year old when I was just honored and blessed to get this job as an office manager at this appraisal company 2 blocks down from our little apartment. And so I was so happy to get hired and have that consistent paycheck of being a mom, single mom. And I ended up walking to work for the first 2 years, rain or shine. I never missed a day of work. And once, after about 2 years, my old boss, Kurt, him and his wife, they helped me get a car. I was so excited to get the car and be able to drive places again. But I really enjoyed that time in my life of just being brave and having to do whatever is necessary to get by and get ahead. And I was so happy to be employable at that time and work hard and help build somebody else's business. And then, a few years down the way, you keep doing what you're supposed to be doing, and that self-esteem just begins to grow and grow and grow. And so fast forward, things like that bodybuilding show and getting past that fear are the things that help me kind of push past that risk of whatever dilemma my brain might be saying, no, stop, don't do that. I don't think we're ever ready to start things sometimes, right? You just have to jump in and you just have to do it. So for me, almost 4 years ago when I started the appraisal business, I had no clue what I was doing other than running that business for somebody else.
Yeah. That was Curtis Page,
Curtis Page,
right?
yes.
Yeah, a legend in our
Absolutely
industry.
love Kurt. He's like a dad, and just very grateful. I worked for him for 8-9 years before I started our firm. And he was incredibly encouraging and supportive when I did. But I went through this transformation of truly very, absolutely nothing and just willing to work hard and set some goals and reach those goals. And I'm very passionate about helping other women understand that they can do that too. I still have so far to go. We're always a work in progress. But I really had a heart and desire to help other women if I can, whether it's in real estate or outside of real estate. So I have a handful of clients that I've worked with for a few months, and it's still very new, but I'm enjoying that aspect a lot.
I think that is wonderful. And it sounds like Curtis gave you something that was so much needed in your life, stability.
It was stability, structure, all of that.
It is just amazing how that changed the course of your life. Getting this office job. So we never know when we step through a door how that somebody, as a matter of fact, I was talking with somebody last night who I helped them get a job, and they looked at me and they said, "You and your husband changed the course of my life." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that meant so much." And I can see when you're talking the struggles that you've been through, and how you're trying to help other women to move past where you were at, because you obviously have done that. So I don't know who needs to hear this.
I just did one on the way here.
Did you?
Yeah, I
So
did it. I don't know.
I had to stalk you about you on Facebook and Instagram. And the first time I read it or listened to it, so I don't know who needs to hear this. I went, that's interesting. Yeah. And then the next one, I don't know. And then all of a sudden I went, well, that's the way that she opens.
I don't know who needs to hear this.
I don't know who needs to hear that. And there's always somebody who needs to hear that. But
so
I love that.
With the Google Live one, I did, I don't know who needs to hear this, but Google Earth is not live. Yeah. Because when I first started working for Curtis Page, I'm in the office. We had another gal in there, Catherine, and I say out loud, that is so weird. And she says, what? And I go, well, every time I go on Google Earth to look up a property, like, I don't see any cars moving. Nobody's walking around. Like, it's just so strange that that's always happening every time I go on Google Earth. And she looks at me and she goes, do you think it's live? And I said, it's not. And she just looks at me and she says, you're so pretty. And so I have all these, blonde scenarios in life. Yeah, blonde moments in life. And so I just started doing the I don't know who needs to hear this series.
But there's always somebody who does. Yeah. And all of the little clips that you give are really, it's good information or it's inspirational. Yeah. So, as I said, I was stalking you, trying to find out more about you as long as I've known you. Yeah. But then I get into your Facebook and I start seeing you're into hiking. So,
I love hiking.
And I thought it was really interesting. I made some notes around it where, let's see if I can find it, where you talked about the being out in nature it gives you no judgment.
Correct.
The crackling of the branches, the clouds, the beauty of nature, there's no judgment there. And that in your past, You had used alcohol and drugs. You said in your Facebook, alcohol and drugs to escape. Gayle and I understand that. We have the same kind of background. And I myself have 6 years of sobriety. So it's been quite a journey for me. And Gayle has even, I shouldn't be.
We're all in recovery in here, right?
Should not be outing you, but whatever. It makes for a good podcast. But anyway, but you've transitioned that place where you find peace and freedom and a place to escape with hiking in the mountains. So
this past year I got I just found this new love for hiking, and I grew up outdoors camping and fishing and things with my dad, but not really ever just wandering aimlessly through, beautiful nature. And being in recovery, I am a very spiritual person, and there's something about being away from the concrete jungle and being out in untouched, pristine, surroundings. And there is a closeness and this connection that you can feel with your creator and your maker. And it's its own high. And I just absolutely love to go as much as I can.
That takes me to something just in terms of a personal side note. For you, it's nature. For me, it's oftentimes seeing art or in a quiet room at a gallery where it's quiet. Yeah. It takes me outside of myself, and I can connect to my higher power and hear my voice. And it's that ability to find your my authenticity. And I think maybe that is what
it is. It's exactly what it is. Is on a constant daily basis, we are bombarded with other people's thoughts, other people's ideas, philosophies, you name it. What somebody thinks I should or should not be doing on any given minute of a day. But it is freedom. It's that release from that to be able to hear my own thoughts, not confuse them for somebody else's, and ask, what do I want? What are my goals?
That is so important, because we as women oftentimes have been inculcated or through from just being a female growing up, that we want to please. We're in a pleasing role all the time. And it took me a long time to be able to find out who it is that I am. It took me getting into sobriety to figuring out what my real opinions are, figuring out who I authentically am. Sure. So you have had that same journey. Pam has gone through that same journey.
Absolutely. When you're constantly medicating yourself,
you
feel nothing. Of course you don't know who you are.
Whether it's wine or whatever. It could be shopping. It could be gambling. It could be too much Amazon.
It is.
There's all kinds of ways that people use other
Oh my goodness, if it's Amazon, I know there's a lot of women in big trouble. Really big trouble.
Big trouble.
Well, I know that mine is Gayle's art. Mine is my husband and I have a home at the beach. Yeah. Being at the beach, you feel like you're actually drinking in the beauty.
Yes.
And that has definitely become my drink of choice. That's for sure.
I think sometimes, and I am known to let, my addiction type proneness flow over into my work world. I can take it to the extreme and then not be as present for my family and all of those things. So you do have to be careful. But
I'm so glad to hear you say that. Admit it.
Yeah.
Because I have the same problem.
Oh, yeah, it's awful.
My daughter said to me about a year ago, Mom, other than work, what else do you do? And I have to tell you, I couldn't think of anything. And it scared me. Yeah. It really did scare me. So
on my 40th birthday, my grandma Dixie, who I'm super close with, she's 88. Both my grandmas went to high school together at Fresno High, class of 55. Yeah. So they've known each other forever. But my grandma Dixie, said she wanted to throw me a 40th birthday party at her house. And I did not want her doing too much and overexerting herself. And so I said, let's just keep it small. And she says, okay, send me a list of some of your friends and I'll reach out and invite them. So I sent her a list of friends, and the next day she calls in. She says, well, all of these people are in real estate. Don't you have any real friends? I said, well, it's basically it is my whole life.
Yeah.
And I think that has always been the goal. This has been the new goal now, is becoming a woman who can incorporate both at the same time.
Absolutely.
So that takes practice, but I've been getting a lot better at that. I'm responding to, emails or quoting appraisals when I'm at my daughter's basketball game, or, those types of things, and just thinking outside of the box and how can I do it all at once? Right?
Well, I'm very thankful that God gave us the ability to, women
Multitask.
definitely are multitaskers. My husband will get so upset with me because he'll say, you're not paying attention. What are you doing? And I'll go, unlike you, I can multitask. So yeah.
Men are not the best multitaskers.
But let me ask one last question though. When people look back on your work, if your work was going to end today, I'm not talking about way in the past. I mean, way in the future. If your work was going to end today, what would you want to be best remembered for?
That I was a bright light in their world. That whatever short or long experience I might have had in their home was a positive one, and I brought some sense of joy in the way of the Lord's love into that home. Yeah. So.
Because people don't remember what you say, but they sure remember how you made them feel.
Well, not as an appraiser. I can't make anybody feel anything.
So since the name of this podcast is Own the Room, I'm going to ask you, what does owning the room look like?
Owning the room. Now, that's a loaded question. If you would have asked me last year, I probably would have said, owning the room is being the one that everybody's drawn to, that just stands out, has that light about them. But I actually think it's the opposite now. I think owning the room is that subtle humility of just a badass woman, is in that room. And she does not need to say anything. She doesn't need to look a certain way. She just is badass.
I love that.
It's that quietness of confidence, right? I think confidence a lot of times can look like arrogance to those who are insecure, right? And so that can play a role too. So I think, the humility and the quietness of just being a badass and owning that in any room that you're in. That
is a perfect ending.
It really is. And I have to say, I've walked in a room and you've been there and you did light up the room.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Not to mention the dress you had on the last time I walked in the room and you were there. It was very sparkly, just like Lindsay.
I like sequins.
Yeah. Well, Lindsay, thank you for sharing your journey with us and showing us your disciplined leadership and how you show up, and the difference that you make in people's world is just immense, and we are proud to know you.
Oh, thank
you. Thrilled to have you here.
Yeah.
Right back.
Thank you so much, for being here. And to our listeners, thank you for being part of this community.
Until next time.
Own your voice, own your vision, and own the room.